So where is Emily Post when you need her? It seems like so many parents these days are frustrated because their kids have no manners. Coming up next, a nationally known expert is going to teach us all how we should be showing up to the world. That's next.
Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home.
We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network.
We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team, and the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is the Jeff Crilley Show.
Well, I don't know about you, but sometimes when I'm shaking a young person's hand and they're looking at their shoes or it's not a firm grip, I say to myself, did no one teach you manners? And unfortunately, a lot of parents, even if they know good manners, they're not doing that with their kids. To talk about that today, Elise McVeigh. She is with Miss McVeigh's Manners. Thanks for coming on the show.
Well, thanks for having me.
Well, I'm dying to hear how you got into this because you've been doing this for a while.
Long time. So I have 3 children, and I was sort of a stay-at-home mom, wanted more to do, and so I got into speaking, which I love to do, and I have a seminar company called Elise McVeigh's Life Camp, and someone in the audience said when I was giving a talk on etiquette, gee, you should do a kids camp. So I borrowed a few kids, and maybe 2 or 3 were paid, and we had our first camp. I was not a teacher, I was a journalist and in fundraising, and so I've, over the years, have figured out how to teach, and now I have about 20 instructors who teach with me or for me, and we have a very set curriculum, and the whole thing is we just try to make it a lot of fun for the kids.
And I think it's more necessary now, because you started this in 2003. It's even more necessary today because you know, young people, they're a texting generation. They're not a talking generation. And a good impression is made instantly, isn't it?
Exactly. So about 10 or 15 years ago, I started getting emails and calls from parents saying, my child cannot communicate with adults. And so our original biggest topics were table manners and meeting and greeting. Now communication is such a big part of it because eye contact is terrible. Children don't acknowledge adults when they see them. And I hate to be on the bandwagon of social media, video games, bad, but that's, I think, where it's sort of tanked, the whole thing.
Do you think it's because the parents themselves don't know proper etiquette that they're hiring people like you? Yes,
at this point we've now lost a few generations of people not sitting down at the table. So I'd say, around the 70s when kids were overscheduled and we had to have all these activities and everything, the family dinner hour got lost, and now we have several generations where the parents now haven't even been taught as children. So I think that they want their children to learn, but they just don't know how to do it.
And you figured out a way to make it fun, and we're showing some video here of you working in schools. When you show up for the first time, are the kids rolling their eyes, and then later it's like, wow, this is actually fun?
Yes, exactly. That's exactly what happens. I love it. I'll have, especially, sometimes I'll even have like 7th, 8th grade classes, but they'll say, I thought this was going to be terrible. This was way better than I thought. Or I'll have a week-long camp, and they'll say, oh, gosh, yeah, I just thought this would be the worst week. One girl said, oh, I thought you were going to make us carry books on our head. But once again, we just try to make it funny and fun.
Like I said, Elise has been doing this for a while. I went on her YouTube page, and I hope you don't mind. I pulled a video from 2010, but you have not aged. You look exactly the same.
Well, that's nice.
Let's go ahead and roll that video now.
All right, so this is what I want to ask you. Raise your hand if you know. Why are good manners important? Today was great. I think that the kids were absorbing a lot of the material. And I think one thing that I've learned in doing it all these years is some kids respond to the workbooks, some respond to the role playing.
What do you do when you meet somebody?
Nice to meet you. I'm Grace Mendes.
I'd say, hi, I'm Elise McVeigh. Nice to meet you.
Hi, I'm Max Mendes. It's nice to meet you.
Shake hands firmly and have good eye contact and say your first and last name loud and clearly.
Very good. Okay, so I'd say, nice to meet you, Max. Do you notice what he did? He looked at me in the eye. He shook my hand. Yes.
How about you should say excuse me and have a low voice and be calm.
As long as they're well-mannered, to me, if that's what a parent compliments them on, that goes way farther to me than, oh, your son's such a great soccer player or a basketball player. So I just love the fact that I can teach other children the same thing. Is this one bigger or smaller? Smaller. Smaller. So do you know what the trick is? What's the trick? Small and salad. What do they both begin with? S. So this is the salad fork. I've had kids come here before and say, oh, I thought this was going to be so terrible. Or the parents will say, oh, can I just put them in 2 or 3 days for the 5-day camp? And then the days that the kids don't come, the parents come back and say, okay, they were begging to come yesterday. So I just think that if you can mix it up and just make it more relaxed, have fun with it and sort of be goofy, then the kids will really respond to it.
And that video now is, 12 years old?
Oh, yes, at least, yes. So.
In fact, as she was watching that, she was like, okay, I know where she is now.
Yeah, so one of the little girls with the big bow, she's about to go to SMU, and then her brother who is in it, he's at a great school too, so
wow.
He's a junior.
It's got to make you feel good to have one of your students come back to you years later and say, thank you, you really made a difference.
Well, I'm really waiting for my children to say that, but that just is not happening, but I'll let you know. But yes, it is. It's really nice. I'll have kids, young adults will say, oh, I took your classes and you still doing it, and yeah, it's great.
And at least I know there are people watching this right now who say, I need this, I need to enroll right now, but I probably can't afford her. It's really very affordable, isn't it?
Yeah, yes, I think so. So we'll do a whole semester-long class, which is at least 12 classes, an hour, and a lot of times we're at schools, and it's great because it gives parents an extra hour of their day, which I would have loved,
sure.
But it's $260.
That's awesome.
So yeah, and then also someone could also do an online class. So we offer Zoom classes, which are even about $150 a semester. They can just buy our little, video series of 6 lessons, which is $95. So the point to me is not so much that I want to make $1 zillion. I just really want children to have good manners.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's talk a little bit about Zoom, because everybody had to kind of understand Zoom and get on Zoom. Did Zoom create some bad habits? Because I noticed that sometimes when I'm watching people on Zoom, they're not looking in the right place, or they're fidgeting, or they're on their phone. I mean, let's talk about Zoom etiquette.
Well, so yes, you would think, since I teach mostly children, so when I had to put all my classes online, I had to say, I had to do like a Zoom, an online video lesson, but like one kid had his cat up, a dad was in there and he's like yelling at the kids, and the moms in the background, they can hear you, because it was the first time I did it. I didn't know you could put people on mute. I mean, the whole thing was funny, but I'm saying that, but really adults have it's like, we don't need to see you eating.
Yes.
We don't need to hear you chewing.
Yes.
Someone I know who's on all the time, like I saw her going like this. I was
Yes.
like, I can see you.
And if you're wearing boxer shorts, please don't stand up. We don't
Yes,
need to see
exactly.
that.
Exactly.
And you partner with, I guess, 10 schools right now in the DFW area?
Yes, and so a lot of them are Catholic or private, which is great. We would love to go beyond Dallas, so that's something that we'll do in the future. But yeah, it's just been a lot of fun. It's been great.
Okay, we've got about a minute left. So to the parent who's watching this who says, well, maybe should I or shouldn't I? I mean, how do you know when your child needs somebody like you?
I think that everyone could use someone because it's not, I mean, as I said, we make it interactive and fun, but it's also, there's so many things if you want to be comfortable in any situation, and your child is going to be in a situation someday where they, maybe they're overwhelmed by too many forks and knives, or they're not positive, should they shake hands, not shake hands. It's a good training, I think, for anyone, and it just really builds their confidence.
Absolutely. You've been an amazing guest. We're going to have you back. We're going to end with your website, which is mrsmcveighsmanners.com. Thank you so much for.
Well, thanks for having me.
You bet. And that's it for now. We'll see you next time.